Hello there, Steve Hart. Wanting to tell you a story, a true story. It's my story. It's a story of basically how I got started in magic. In the early 60s, there was a TV show every Saturday morning I would watch. It was called The Magic Land of Alakazam. And it was a magician named Mark Wilson, his wife Narnie, and Rebo the Clown. And in fact, I have a picture of them here I want to show you. And you'll notice there's Mark and his wife, and then Rebo the Clown over here. And you notice I've had all three of them autograph this photograph because I've been lucky enough to actually get acquainted with them, and especially Rebo the Clown, who is Bev Bergeron. And I would watch the show on Saturday mornings, and then one day in 1963, during the Indiana State Fair, my parents took me there, and they had a show in the giant Coliseum there, which was the Andy Williams show. And Andy Williams had brought along with him the Osmond brothers and the Magic Land of Alakazam. So I actually got to see Mark Wilson, Narnie, and Bev perform live in 1963 in the Coliseum. Years later, I asked Mark and Narnie if they remembered being there, and Bev too, and they said, of course we did. We remember being there, and the reason why was because on Halloween, that same year, there was an explosion in the Coliseum during the ice show. A propane gas tank leaked, and it killed 70-some people, and 400 people were injured. And Mark and Narnie remember we were just there, and in August, and so they remember distinctly being at the Indiana State Fair and doing those shows. Now, it's interesting that in that same year, in November 22nd, just another month later, I was in my class in the 5th grade, and an announcement came over the school system, the PA system, that President Kennedy had been shot. That was November 22nd. And needless to say, we basically stopped school. Everybody was pretty upset. The teachers were very upset. We couldn't continue. But they did have a magic show scheduled for that afternoon at 1 o'clock. And a guy by the name of Bob Bradley came and entertained the whole school. And in the midst of my fear about the president being shot, because I thought the Russians had killed him and they were going to send their missiles and we were all going to die. In the midst of that moment, Bob took all that fear away from me and entertained me and just sucked me into his humor and laughter, and I forgot everything. But when the show finished, that fear came back on me, and something miraculous happened to me. This is my story. I'm sitting at the top of the bleachers because I was in the 5th grade at the time. I'm 10 years old, and when the show ended, that voice within me said, "This is what you will do." And so that whole year of 1963, with the seeing the Magic Land of Alakazam, and then I lost my train of thought. Seeing Magic Alakazam, and then the explosion of the Coliseum, and then the tragic death and assassination of President Kennedy, all kind of wrapped around an explosive moment in my life when my career in magic began. Because when I saw Bob perform that show in my school, it was very strong. I began to immediately took an interest, and my parents bought me a magic kit and a ventriloquist dummy for Christmas, and that was the beginning of my career in magic. And little did I know that I would actually become friends with Bev Bergeron, who played Rebo the Clown, and then later met Narnie and Mark Wilson, and I got to spend some time with them. So I've really been blessed by my career in magic, and and being able to actually get to know the people who influenced me. Another thing is the following year when Bob Bradley came back to the school, I told him the next year that I had been studying magic and I was learning magic, and he was very impressed with that and took me aside and spent some time with me and showed me a magic trick. And then about 5 years later, I'm now a teenager, and I met him again, and once again was able to share with him my experience as a young magician. By that time, I had won an international award at the Magical Youth International in the stage competition, first place. And so I was very excited myself, but grew up in the cornfields of Indiana, my parents and my community didn't really know how to support me in my choice of career as a magician. They told me, you got to get a real job. So needless to say, I went to college, got a real job, but it didn't take very long before I was realizing that this is not for me, and I ended up in sales. And once you get into sales, you realize that people buy from you because of you, not because of what you're really selling. And that's when I got the idea, wait a second, I need to go back to being a magician because this is what I really wanted to do. So by the time I was 30 years old, I was making a living as a magician, and that's how I got started. So that's basically my story. I want to thank Bob Bradley, wherever you are, and Mark and Nani Wilson and Bev Bergeron for their influence in my life. Little did you know, and I've been blessed because of it. That's my story. There you go. Bye-bye.